The wedding they skipped, they had no idea I was the one keeping them alive. The moment I cut my wedding cake, my phone started exploding. 12 missed calls. From my father. While I stood there in my wedding dress, smiling for photos, my family, 5 miles away, was watching their entire world collapse. And I had planned every second of it. My name is Claire Bennett. And this is the story of how my family chose my sister over me, on the one day that was supposed to be mine. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why I let them fall. Growing up in a small town outside Asheville, North Carolina, there were 2 kinds of daughters in my house. The favorite. And the useful one. My older sister, Vanessa, was the favorite before she could even walk properly. She was pretty, she was charming, and somehow, no matter what she broke, someone else always cleaned it up. That someone was me. I wasn't the pretty one. I wasn't the fun one. I was the responsible one. The one who got straight A's, who never asked for anything, who joined the army at 18 because I wanted a life that depended on no one but myself. By the time I was 32, I was a logistics officer managing multi-million-dollar operations. But at home, none of that mattered. To my father, Vanessa was special. And I was just useful. And there's a big difference between being loved and being needed. I learned that the hard way, over and over again. When my mom needed surgery insurance wouldn't cover, I paid for it quietly. My dad thanked Vanessa for helping arrange everything. When my dad's hardware store almost went under after bad investments, I covered it. He told everyone the business turned itself around. When Vanessa's credit cards spiraled out of control after her divorce, I paid it off so her kids wouldn't lose their home. She never even said thank you. But I kept helping. Because some small part of me still believed, one day, they'd notice. One day, they'd choose me too. I was wrong. Everything changed when I met Marcus. He was an army doctor, stationed with me overseas. Calm eyes. Steady hands. The kind of man who never made you feel like loving your job was a flaw. On our 3rd date, I apologized for checking my work email at dinner. He just smiled and said, "You don't have to apologize for being dedicated." Nobody in my family had ever said anything like that to me. Not once. Not in 32 years. 2 years later, he proposed on a beach in Charleston. No audience. No cameras. Just the ocean, the wind, and a man who actually saw me. For the first time in my life, I let myself believe happiness could be simple. But happiness didn't last long. Because 4 months before my wedding, my family did something so unbelievable, it would end up costing them everything. We sent out wedding invitations early, since military schedules are unpredictable. My mom cried when she got hers. My dad's reaction? Seems like a lot of money for one day. That was it. No excitement. No "I'll walk you down the aisle." Nothing. A few weeks later, my dad threw a big family barbecue. Hot Carolina sun, country music, the whole extended family in the backyard. And then Vanessa showed up. Designer sunglasses. A brand new boyfriend named Tyler holding a bottle of champagne like he was about to propose a toast to himself. Halfway through dinner, Vanessa tapped her glass. "We have an announcement," she said, practically glowing. "Tyler and I are engaged." The whole backyard erupted. My aunt cried. My mom gasped. My dad looked happier than I had seen him in years. Then came the second announcement. "And the engagement party is already booked," Vanessa said, smiling directly at me. "Memorial Day weekend." My stomach dropped. That was my wedding weekend. I waited for anyone, to say something. Instead, Vanessa just shrugged. The venue only had that date open. My dad cleared his throat. "Well, guess it'll be a busy weekend." Nobody objected. Nobody defended me. And in that moment, I understood something I had spent 30 years refusing to see. They hadn't forgotten my wedding. They just decided it didn't matter. "You booked your engagement party on my wedding day," I said quietly. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, Claire, not everything is about you." My dad nodded like that settled it. "Our invitations went out months ago," I said. Tyler shifted in his seat. "Honestly, we didn't really think about it. That's exactly the problem, I said. The whole table went silent. Then Vanessa said the words that changed everything. Relax. Your wedding's pretty small anyway. It's not like people are gonna miss much. My dad actually laughed. Marcus, sitting beside me, calmly set down his drink. He wasn't angry. He looked disappointed. And somehow, that was worse. Our wedding, he said, is exactly the size we wanted it to be. The drive home was silent. Rain clouds rolled over the mountains. Finally, Marcus reached over and took my hand. You okay? I stared out the window. I think something just ended. What do you mean? My whole life, I said softly, I've been trying to earn my father's approval. Marcus squeezed my hand. You shouldn't have to earn something that should have been given for free. He was right. And it hurt more than I expected. Over the next month, the family group chat became wall-to-wall engagement party planning. Dress fittings. Floral arrangements. Designer invitations. My wedding. Never mentioned. Not once. Like it didn't exist. Then the calls started. My aunt, would it really kill you to push your date back a few weeks, honey? My cousin, your dad's under a lot of pressure right now. Pressure. Stress. Excuses. There was always an excuse for him. Then my dad called while I was at work. People feel like they're being forced to choose, he said. They are choosing, I replied calmly. That's not fair, Claire. What's not fair, I said, is pretending this happened by accident. Silence. Then he said the sentence that changed something in me forever. Your sister needs the support more than you do right now. I sat back in my chair. There it was. The truth. Plain. Simple. Vanessa got pretending because she demanded it. I got ignored because I had always survived without it. The strong child becomes invisible. Every time. That night, while Marcus slept, I sat alone in the living room with my laptop glowing in the dark. Bank records. Loan guarantees. Transfer histories. Years and years of proof. For the first time in my life, I stopped asking, how do I fix this? And I started asking a much more dangerous question. What happens if I just stop? The weeks before the wedding felt strangely peaceful. Not because my family changed, but because I finally stopped expecting them to. When my dad asked me to temporarily help with a business payment, I said no. When Vanessa complained her wedding planner wanted more deposits, I said nothing. Every request got the same calm answer. No. And suddenly, people who had ignored me for years became very concerned about my attitude. Funny how boundaries feel like betrayal to people used to unlimited access. 2 weeks before my wedding, my mom accidentally forwarded me an email chain. I don't think she meant to include me. Subject line, Memorial Day attendance planning. I opened it. My dad had personally encouraged relatives to attend Vanessa's party, calling my wedding just a small private thing. Nobody will really miss it. Meanwhile, Vanessa called her party the real family event of the year. Dozens of relatives had already replied. Almost all of them choosing her. Not because they couldn't come to mine. Because they were told not to. I stared at that screen for a long time. No tears. No anger. Disappointment only exists when there's still hope. And mine was finally gone. The night before my wedding, my mom called, crying. Are you coming tomorrow? I asked. Long pause. Your father doesn't want us to leave before Vanessa's event starts. There it was. The final answer. I understand, I said quietly. Claire, it's not. It's okay, Mom. It wasn't. We both knew it. The morning of my wedding, I woke up before sunrise. Checked my phone one last time. No message from my dad. No message from Vanessa. Nothing. Hours later, I stood behind the chapel doors in Charleston, holding my bouquet. The doors opened. The music started. And the first thing I saw wasn't Marcus. It was the empty seats. Entire rows on my side. Empty. Reserved for people I had spent years helping. People who chose somewhere else. I forced myself to keep walking. One step. Then another. Then I looked up and saw Marcus. His eyes were already filled with tears. Not because of the dress. Because of me. I walked down that aisle completely alone. No father beside me. And somehow, that felt right. Because I had been carrying myself my whole life anyway. When I reached him, Marcus took both my hands and whispered, "You're here." 2 words. But they meant more than every speech my father ever gave me. During our vows, Marcus said something that nearly broke me. "I will never make you earn my love." My throat closed up immediately. Because without realizing it, I had spent my entire life doing exactly that. Working for approval. Competing for attention. Giving more than I ever received. Real love doesn't keep score. Real love doesn't make you beg. Real love just stays. At the reception, one of my commanding officers stood up and raised his glass. "I've worked with Claire for almost 8 years, he said. "She's one of the most dependable people I've ever met. If you call her at 3 a.m. in a crisis, she answers. If you need help, she shows up." The room clapped. Then he added quietly, "But the thing I admire most, she never asks for recognition. So tonight, I think it's time someone gave it to her anyway." The applause hit me harder than I expected. Strangers were celebrating qualities my own family had ignored for 30 years. Hours later, while we were cutting the cake, surrounded by laughter and clinking glasses, my phone started buzzing. Again. And again. And again. I wasn't supposed to have it on. I pulled it out anyway. "Dad, call me now." "Dad, what did you do?" "Dad, Vanessa is hysterical." My heart didn't race. It slowed down. Because the plan had worked. 3 months earlier, after my family chose Vanessa over me on my own wedding day, I stopped preparing to forgive them. I started preparing to disappear from their finances, completely, legally, permanently. Every account I secretly funded. Every loan I co-signed. Every emergency I quietly paid off for years, documented, organized, and scheduled. One single email. Set to send automatically. 8:45 p.m. On my wedding night. The exact moment we cut the cake. Recipients, my dad. Vanessa. Tyler. Their lawyer. The country club hosting the engagement party. And 3 different lenders. Attached, years of proof. Every dollar I had spent quietly holding their entire lives together. Marcus looked at my phone, then back at me. "What payments are they talking about?" I exhaled. "All of them." "The engagement party?" I nodded. "The business loans. The mortgage. The tax debt. Everything." For years, my father thought his problems just solved themselves. He called it luck. Perseverance. A blessing. The truth was simpler. It was me. Every single time. My phone rang. "Dad." This time, I answered. Chaos exploded through the speaker. Shouting. Someone crying. Vanessa, furious. "Claire, what did you do?" I stayed calm. "I'm at my wedding reception, Dad. The country club says the payment account was cancelled." "What account?" And there it was. The moment that broke my heart all over again. After everything, he still didn't know where the money came from. "You thought the business survived on its own?" I asked quietly. Silence. Then Tyler's voice in the background. "Wait, what is she talking about?" Vanessa snapped. "She's exaggerating." Same old Vanessa. Deny. Deflect. Blame. My dad's voice dropped. The email, "Claire. What is all of this?" This was it. The moment he finally saw me, not as the backup plan. Not as the emergency contact. As the person who had been holding everything together. "I paid your tax debt 3 years ago," I said. Silence. "I covered the mortgage when refinancing fell through." More silence. "I paid off Vanessa's debt. I funded her son's college fund." Then Tyler's stunned voice. "You paid for what?" Apparently. Vanessa never mentioned that part. I looked out at the river through the ballroom window, and finally said the words I'd waited 30 years to say. "You chose your favorite daughter, Dad. So I stopped paying to be treated like your least favorite one." The line went dead silent. Then the shouting started again. But this time, It wasn't aimed at me. It was aimed at each other. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one cleaning up the mess. And it felt incredible. By morning, Tyler had left the engagement party. Within days, he ended things with Vanessa completely. Turns out finding out your fiancé's entire lifestyle was secretly funded by her little sister isn't exactly romantic. My dad's creditors started calling. Old debts resurfaced. The business problems came back all at once. Meanwhile, Marcus and I spent our honeymoon walking beaches in Florida, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not revenge. Peace. A few days in, my mom called again. I answered. "Your father isn't sleeping," she said. I leaned against the balcony railing. "What do you want me to do about that?" Long pause. "He's ashamed." That hurt more than anger ever could. Because shame meant he finally understood. 3 months later, my dad sold the house. The same backyard where Vanessa announced her engagement now had a for sale sign on the lawn. The business downsized. Vanessa moved into a small apartment. Relatives slowly found out the truth. The apologies started rolling in. We had no idea. Maybe they didn't. But not knowing doesn't erase choosing. One rainy evening, months later, there was a knock at our door. I already knew who it was. My dad. Older. Smaller. The confidence completely gone. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. We sat across from each other. Rain on the windows. Long silence. Finally, he said, "I didn't understand." I waited. "You never asked for help." There it was. The misunderstanding that shaped my entire life. "So you assumed I didn't need love?" I asked. His eyes filled instantly. "No. But that's what happened." He lowered his head. "I thought your sister was more fragile." I almost laughed. Fragile? The woman who manipulated entire rooms when she didn't get her way. Meanwhile, I survived deployments, crises, 30 years of being overlooked, and somehow I was the one expected to carry it all, quietly, forever. "Why didn't you tell me what you were doing?" he asked. For the first time, I answered honestly. Because I wanted a father who loved me before he knew what I could give him. The room went silent. Then something happened I never thought I'd see. My father cried. Quietly. The way broken people cry when they finally face the truth. "Strong daughters still need their fathers, don't they?" he whispered. My throat tightened. Yes. A tear slid down his face. I wish I'd known sooner. So do I. When he left, neither of us pretended everything was fixed. Some wounds heal. Others just become part of who you are. At the door, he turned back one last time. "I'm proud of you, Claire." The words came 30 years late. But for the first time, they were real. That night, my phone buzzed one more time. A text. From my dad. "I love you." I always did. I stared at it for a long time. Then Marcus wrapped his arms around me from behind, and outside, the rain kept falling softly. For the first time in my life, I let the past go. Because being the strong one doesn't mean being unbreakable. And being dependable doesn't mean being disposable. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can ever do is stop carrying people who never learned to carry themselves. If this story hit home for you, like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, would you have sent that email?